What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee, and welcome back to the channel. So I am back with another reaction video. Now this comes from the No Fugazi podcast. Shout out to them. Make sure you go over and support their channel if you haven't already. In this particular video, it says Cooley triggers the single moms on the panel. So we're gonna get into this video, but before we get into the video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It is free to subscribe.
Donations.
Also, make sure you share and like the video and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos or go live. I'm gonna stop talking. Let's go ahead and get into the video. Here we go.
Single fathers do just as good as two-parent households. That's a fact. So I'll say it again. Single father households, the kids do just as good. They produce the best kids in society the same way a two-parent household does. Single mother households, they do not as good as two-parent households, and they don't do as good as single father households. That's a fact. Most of people in prison, not all, but most of people in prison, they come from single mother households. All the juvenile delinquents, those come from, not all, but most of them come from single mother households. School shooters, it was mostly of, white guys and stuff like that, but single mother households.
Now, so far what he's saying is all facts. That is the statistics that are out there. It's just the truth. And we've known this for quite some time. This isn't new information. This is all facts that he's speaking. Just because you don't want to accept the truth doesn't mean that it's not the truth. So let's continue.
Most of the gang violence, right? All of the in Chicago and everything like that, in Jersey and New York and everywhere across the United States. Most of those gang violence, those are kids that live in a single mother household. So data shows that if we just look at it without a father, like Ease was saying, because he's the disciplinarian, and what she admitted to, that the kids happen just to listen to daddy more, then it would behoove you to not conclude that the father does much better than a single mother household.
I think that was wonderful. But can I say something?
Sure, but
so where the daddies at? That's great in all this damn chaos.
Okay.
Where are the fathers? Let's go ahead and blame it on the women. Go ahead. Let me.
No. I'm just going to tell you.
Because we kicked them out, remember? We kicked them out.
All this going on if the fathers are present. So let's just be present, dads.
A lot of women are quick to jump to that conclusion. Well, where are the fathers? Where are the fathers? Ask the mothers, because the mothers are the ones who decided to go out here, open their legs, and get pregnant by guys who were irresponsible, because that's typically the case. They didn't even decide to get married before they decide to have a child. That's a choice that women make. So before we jump to where the fathers are, what about the irresponsible mothers who decided to have a child without a father who was responsible? Let's make that clear, because we're talking about people who are irresponsible on both sides, the mothers and the potential fathers. Just because the woman is the one who carries the baby doesn't mean that she was a responsible party. She was irresponsible and reckless, and so was the guy who knocked her up. But if it's a woman's choice, if it's her body, her choice, she is even more responsible with what she chooses to do with her body. Let's make that clear. So my point is, the responsibility needs to be on both. She's irresponsible with her womb and he's irresponsible with his womb. Then you're gonna have an outcome of two irresponsible people. So let's point at the woman. You shouldn't have been opening your legs to an irresponsible man who was not ready to be a father, and he should not have been putting his thing into an irresponsible woman and creating a child that you wasn't ready to take care of. So let's put it on both, not just one. Let's keep that in mind. Let's continue.
Let me tell you.
It's fixed.
Okay.
Just be present.
So let me tell you something that's probably the realest thing I've ever told anybody. So my mother was a drug dealer.
Okay.
Right. So when I finally got old enough to ask, because I was in shelters, I came up in foster care. So when I finally got old enough to ask and meet my father, and it's like, yo, where the hell was you at, bro? Like, we was in shelters, we was in foster care, me and my brothers. So it made sense to me. He said, your mother was not easy to deal with. I said, my mother was not easy to deal with. He said, yeah. He said, she was in the street. I was not with all of that, and that's just not who I am. And she wouldn't listen.
And he couldn't take his child.
Couldn't take his child because she took. So
me. If you would have done it, if you would have taken responsibility and done it and went to a court or done something and said, hey, my child is in an environment that's not healthy and that's not even gonna, you're not supposed to be there. Okay. You're not supposed to have a mother that's drug dealing. it's illegal. Period.
Right.
And if you really care about that child, that's excuses. I'm sorry. But for a woman like me, that is an excuse.
You can say that.
You should have gone above and beyond to make sure you got your child out of that environment if you cared enough, and then been a single. Because then we can go back to data and we can talk about statistics, and we can say how many single fathers there are compared to single mothers.
From the outside looking in, women automatically assume that these fathers aren't fighting for their kids when there's so many fathers who are fighting for custody of their children as we speak. There are so many fathers, and they could tell you themselves that they've been in the system for years trying to fight the system for their children because the mothers were irresponsible. But the courts do not favor men. They don't favor men, they favor the women. Like he said, his mother was a drug dealer. These women aren't just gonna allow you to come in. Even if you go to the courts, they're gonna come in and lie. They're gonna come in and do what they need to do to try to keep those kids. So you can go fight. There are so many men who are fighting to get their kids out of horrible situations that these mothers are putting these children in, and they have to fight. It's not easy. It's not like they just can walk in there and say, oh, she's a drug dealer. Give me my kids. I want my kid because I didn't know where they were. She's a bad person, this and that. It's not that simple. Ask the men who are out here who've been fighting for custody of their children and are not able to get their kids. So there's a lot that goes into that. And as a person on the outside looking in, it's easy for people to say, oh, what you should have did going above and beyond, and don't understand that a lot of men have fought for their kids and they weren't able to get them, even in these horrible circumstances. But let's continue.
When we talk about data, make sure we bring it all together and really try to understand both sides, because it's not one-sided ever.
Right.
And when we talk about women
Jada.
being the woman that's probably disciplining or doing whatever, she's there and she's doing what she can, and she's working and she's paying bills and she's making sure that child is fed and getting to school and not going to school looking crazy. There's many things.
You got the wrong message. The message is not my mother didn't hustle to make sure things happen. My mother was a street woman that was super hard to deal with, and she is today.
That's not the point.
So the point is, I'm saying that the
point is the fact that he's saying his mother was a street woman. She was hard to deal with. That has every bearing on the relationships that she have and the effects of the children. Like, see, this is where women don't take accountability. They want to focus so much on the man till you ignore the facts about the woman. She was not doing the right thing. They want to gloss over that and just focus on the man. No, that says a lot about her character, how she moves, the things that she does. So you can't just look at the man. You got to listen to that part too, because that's a big deal. Let's continue.
The things that we think that, oh, where's the father? He wasn't. It was different
circumstances. If you think that's enough, then listen. It's not enough.
Hold up, listen. There's more. It's more than one little layer of lettuce to peel. You can't just be like, oh, he should have just did this. You don't know what was going on at that time. We talking about a long time ago where circumstances was different, things was happening. We don't know what was involved, and this is just the part that I can peel.
So can I just say, just like you said, you don't know what's going on?
Right.
We don't know what's going on because men will always say, oh, that's why you're a single mom, this and that. Well, you don't know what's going on in that situation either. You don't know if the man could have been abusive. You don't know if the man could have been not doing what he had to do to take care of a home. So we have to understand every circumstance is different. So in your case, you're saying she was abusive. And what I'm just trying to say is, any man that sees that their child is in danger or is not in a safe environment, they should be willing to go above and beyond to make sure that they are now in control of the situation. Yeah. What I'm trying to tell you is that most men do not go above and beyond to make sure that that is not the situation for their child.
So Jada,
family.
So manipulation happens when you focus on the effects instead of going to the root, the cause.
Whatever.
So the root is that the courts don't favor men in courts. The courts favor.
No, just ask them.
Forget about speaking something that's anecdotal, because we all would have a different experience. But generally speaking, the courts favor women. If I spoke about myself, I have full custody of my daughter. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you're telling.
Let me finish. I have full custody of my daughter. Would I be like, guys, if you go to court and do the things that I did, you'll be good. You can get your custody. It doesn't work like that. I'm an exception to the rule, right?
You weren't selling drugs.
I got you. Listen, baby girl. I'm the exception to the rule. His certain situation, that's not an exception to the rule, really.
I know.
His is a little bit different. So what he's talking about is the behavior of the woman, right? Women would do things to a man. Think about this. Quick example. Domestic violence. People always talk about domestic violence and women, it's men that's putting hands on women, right? Because women tend to complain and stuff like that. But domestic violence is also keying your guy's car, flattening his tire, burning his clothes. Women don't go to court for that. Like, and got to think about it. Like, if a man is even like, yeah, judge, she keyed my car. Even before he even get to the court, they ain't home and she keyed my car. You see. Go ahead and
yeah, that is true. That is definitely 100% the truth. We know that a lot of men are being abused by women, but it's going underreported. But then once again, the women will say, well, why aren't they reporting it? Why aren't they reporting it? Because they don't feel comfortable doing it, for one. And then usually the others just take it and move on. But it still doesn't excuse the fact that these women are abusing the men, right? The root of the issue is not the fact that they don't report it. It's the fact that these women are doing it. That's an excuse for that. Oh, you don't look at the root of the cause. Oh, she's putting her hands on this man and you shouldn't be doing it. Oh, why don't you report it? Why don't you report it? See, because if he reported, more than likely nothing is going to be done about it, because she gonna lie about it and there's nothing that's going to be done. But if it's a man that's doing it to a woman, oh my God, they're gonna lock him up ASAP. So it's the root. You should not be putting your hands on anyone, period. That's the root of the problem. The woman putting her hands on a man. Just like if a man put his hands on a woman, that's the major problem, right? They focus on it when it's a man, but when it's a woman, it's being excused. That's what he's saying. Let's continue.
You're changing it.
No, I'm not changing it. What I'm saying is
there is
I got you. Listen, there's a social stigma even on men for having to even be like dealing with a rambunctious woman and telling someone else. So men aren't. The truth is that men aren't as prone to go to the courts as women do because we're not as high in trait neuroticism. So women feel more negative emotions than a man. So you feel negative about everything, you complain more. So of course you're going to complain to the courts. We're not as high in trait neuroticism. We kind of like, man, this crazy, bruh. Let me move on. So now let's peel back the layer again before you go real quick. So now let's speak about, because we're speaking about kids, being raised in a single father household or a single mother household. You said, well, what about the fathers not in a household? Well, the facts is that 80% of divorces are initiated by women, right? So women are initiating these divorces, so they're breaking up a home. That is a fact. So now it's not about men leaving. No. Every guy, show of hands real quick. Every guy y'all had sex with, right? Did he say, every guy should have said this, did he say, yeah, that mine, right? Show of hands. If a dude ever said that, yeah, that mine, right?
I'm not talking about that.
No. I'm gonna give you an example of how life works. Just real quick. Show of hands. Okay. I know you. Yeah, y'all. Okay. Over here on the couch too. So the reason why men don't leave relationships, the reason why all men say this, and it's kind of crazy that we all say it, is because it's embedded in us. It's our biology to be territorial. So when we get some vagina, whether if it's good or bad, we're like, God dang, this mine, right? And guess what? Even if it's good or bad, we still don't want to give that vagina away. So men aren't as prone to leave relationships like women are.
And he's got a point, and that's just what it is, because women get bored or they feel like they've outgrown the relationship. They leave, and they don't have no qualms about it. They don't even really create relationships before they create a baby. They just create babies, and there's never a relationship established. A lot of these men aren't even with them. But let's continue.
You, on the other hand, and generally speaking, women, well, y'all are higher in trait neuroticism, so you feel more negative emotions. The stat is out there that, guess what? Lesbian relationships, they do worse in relationships. Like 75% of lesbian relationships, marriages, they get divorced.
Okay.
So think about that.
I got something.
But at gay people, it's only 25% of gay marriages get divorced. Like men being gay. So this tells you that women together don't even do good.
Baby, listen, that is crazy. And that's another fact. And I found that interesting that, the lesbian couples, they having a hard time. They're not staying together. So it shows you women can't even do good with each other. They have a problem working together themselves. So that shows you that a lot of the problem is coming from the women. I wouldn't say it's all the women, but I think a lot is coming from them. I think both sides can use some work. There are certain men who don't know how to be in relationships just like the women, but far too often the women think that they're perfect and there's no accountability on their parts. And that's where the problem comes in. Let's continue.
Women in a household don't do good. A single mother households don't do good as single father households.
Okay.
I gave many stats. This isn't a tangent.
How many times have you been divorced? How many times have you been married? Raise your hand if you've been married. You're talking about stats that we ain't even a part of, babe.
What are you talking about?
You're talking about stats that we're not even a part of. You're talking about people that have been divorced and all this other stuff that we're not even a part of. We're all grown-ass people sitting at this podcast right now, right? You know I always try to keep it as much as real as I can because we talk about stats of people that we ain't even in the same category as, right?
Okay.
So I need the excuses for the people that are not even getting married and engaged and where they at, because you're talking about people that's in the home. They started off on the right page. You in a home with your child, you're trying to start a family, you're doing this, you're doing that, and then most of the times you end up cheating with a young.
So
let's keep it up.
Jada,
So,
let me ask you about generalities.
Let me land my plane because none of us been married.
No. So this is what you're speaking about. I gotta just interrupt you real quick so I can help you out. So you're speaking about something that's subjective, something that's very anecdotal.
I'm talking about us.
I got you. You're speaking about something that's anecdotal, right? So he gave his anecdotal experience. That's totally fine. If someone wants to share their anecdotal experience, that's fine. But the world doesn't operate in anecdotal experiences. For a quick example, every time you go to a mall, you see tons of regular parking spots, but you probably see about 200 regular parking spots, but only like 20 handicap parking spots.
You're not gonna answer my question.
No, listen. The reason why you don't see as many handicap parking spots because there are more non-handicapped people. So how society works when you're building something, when you're viewing life and you need to make a logical decision, you need to look at the general senses of things.
Are there less handicapped people? Because you're looking at it from your perspective. Are there less handicapped people, or are more handicapped people sending other people because they don't want to come out?
God dang, Jada.
You can't say that.
You don't understand generalities.
For every answer.
I'm not going to be a problem for every answer. I'm just trying to get back to where we were talking about. He wants to talk about
no, but all I'm saying is that you're looking.
I'm
trying to help you out. So you're looking at the anecdotal. I'm just saying that in general, right? In general, there are stats because you're saying forget the stats, forget the statistics. You just didn't say that.
Listen, I get what she's coming from and I get what he's coming from on this part, but I will say, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, I do think that there are some men out here who talk about women leave the relationships more, which they do. It's the truth, and they talk about stats that they are not a part of. I will give her a little bit of that because I do think there are some men who are complaining about relationships, or men who say that they're in relationships and they're in relationships with good women. This is the one I'm speaking to. But they don't want to marry these women because they're scared of marriage or they're scared of the marriage laws or whatever. And so I think when you're talking about marriage and how marriages aren't working, or I think automatically you're going to think about the fact that the majority of men who are speaking on marriages are not married or have never been married. So I think that was a point she brought out, and that's the only bit I will give her, because I think there's something to be said about that. And if we're going to be honest, let's be honest. If you're talking about marriages and how they work and how they don't work, if you've never been married, then there's got to be a little pushback there, because if you haven't had the experience and you're only going off what you see and what you think, and on top of that, if you have a good woman who you say is a good woman and you don't want to commit to that woman, and if you have children with that woman, people are going to give you a little pushback because you haven't had the experience to have so much knowledge on it. You don't have to cut your toe to know that it hurts to cut your toe. So what I'm saying is you don't have to go in and experience a bad relationship to know that bad relationships exist. But if you're going to be vocal on marriage and how it works or how it doesn't work, and you haven't even experienced it, then yeah, there's going to be a little bit pushback. So I'll give her a little bit of that, but all of the other stuff, it goes both ways. You got to hold women accountable. You got to hold men accountable. You can't just put all of the accountability on the man. You got to also put it on her too, because it's her body, it's her choice. And if she chooses to open her legs and give a man a baby that she barely knows, and then all of a sudden expect him to be a father, she's got to take that L, because you allowed yourself to give a man your womb and a baby without vetting him properly to know if this is something that he really wanted. You just were out to have fun and a baby came out of it. Now you want him to be responsible even though you weren't responsible. So that's just my take on that. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Definitely chime in. I want to hear your thoughts on this particular video. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel and you like the content. Share and like the video, you guys. Hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.